Hi, and welcome to Crash Course Cryptozoology. I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season and is looking forward to the new year coming our way very soon. I've been thinking a lot recently about how I would like to usher in the new year on this channel, because there are a lot of ways that I could do it, and I was trying to focus on very momentous ideas. And while a lot of those ideas will still be coming your way very soon on this channel, I decided that there was actually an experiment that I felt was very much worth conducting. On December 22nd, at about noon Eastern Standard Time, I paid the website Reddit a visit. For those of you who may not know, Reddit is a forum site in which you can basically join a forum on any topic you can imagine, really. And if it's not there, you can create your own. It's a very social site, and as a consequence, things tend to get a considerable amount of attention on there. There's just a very wide audience for it. My friend and colleague Nate Breslam had showed me this image recently of a gorilla in an enclosure that happened to have snow in it. And when I saw this image, it clicked with me that it reminded me very much of the standard Yeti reports. Subsequently, I came to the conclusion that this might actually be worth using. So I edited the photograph a bit. Mainly I edited out the actual enclosure, and what parts remained that looked off, I was able to block up with a caption that read, "Anonymous photographer claimed this to be a Yeti seen along the border of Bhutan and Tibet, March of 2012. This portion of this experiment was meant to establish a variable that would gauge reaction properly. In short, the experiment was, would people buy this? And what percent of people would buy this? So, I uploaded it to 3 different subreddits. I uploaded it to a cryptozoology subreddit, which is the most popular of the 3, a Bigfoot subreddit, and a general high strangeness subreddit called r/IWantToBelieve. It is important to recognize that I did initially upload it only to r/IWantToBelieve, so there is probably a bit of a time gap in this experiment's listing of particular results. Going into this experiment, the hypothesis was that people wouldn't do their research, by and large, and would believe this pretty right off the bat, and perhaps even make certain assumptions off of it. Every hour that I was available, I would record the amount of upvotes, or likes, that this photograph got, and I would also be listing off how many people were on these subreddits cumulatively, and how many views these photos were getting cumulatively as well. The last variable was actually the most important one, which was a category I called realists, or amount of realists. This was meant to gauge per hour the people who came in that saw through the hoax. And the results are quite interesting. Here we have a table that roughly describes what we were seeing in that 24-hour period. Hours 1 through 6 were the most well-tracked. You can see around hour 6 is actually when I was able to think of uploading this to other subreddits, because you can see a spike in people who would be online during that point in time there, from 18 to 58. And the views and upvotes even reflect that, from 30 to 100 and 20 to 40. So the upvotes kept climbing, and the views kept climbing, even erasing the hour 6 in which it was shared to other subreddits. These statistics were climbing. And it seemed at the time like there was going to be, in the actual context of the comments, an agreement that this was not a hoax. However, early off the bat, this was not the case. There were a few individuals who were actually saying, this is a gorilla, this is not, this can't be a Yeti. Going so far, actually, in the initial post, as to say things like, the gorilla itself looked fake, and that the gorilla itself had its arms photoshopped, or that the top of the head looked weird, because there was a white glow around it. Funnily enough, none of the gorilla was actually edited. The only thing edited in this picture was everything about to the left of a few feet beyond the gorilla. So, instead of people swinging too far in the direction of this being real, we actually had people overanalyze it as a hoax. So then, we got the first few people who were the realists, who were able to actually point out not just that this was a hoax, but actually prove it was by backtracking and finding the original image. And we got them between hours 5 and 6. And through hours 7 through 22, even though people and views were still climbing, the amount of realists had gone up more. And as the amount of realists went up, upvotes actually went down. For those of you who don't know, when you downvote or dislike something on Reddit, it actually just takes an upvote or like away. That way you can actually gauge a proper bar graph type reaction to your post. And those upvotes never went back up, but the amount of realists started going up much, much more. This spread like wildfire. There was actually one particular individual who went to all 3 subreddits, and I think even a few more, and talked in the comments on those subreddits about seeing me having posted this in 3 subreddits and wanting to let it be known that this was a hoax. Particular realists that I would like to congratulate are Anonymous Crank 2000, Dopeman, and Excalibat. Dopeman and Excalibat especially because they were the ones going around actually spreading the knowledge that this was a hoax. And so by hour 24, people on the subreddit were at an all-time high. Views could no longer be properly counted because upvotes had completely stopped, and that's partially how you gauge views. You can also gauge views by comments, and comments had stopped coming in as well. The only thing that had really climbed, aside from people being active in the subreddits, which is expected over a course of 24 hours, was the amount of realists in the comments were just getting bigger and bigger. And what's interesting, as I said before, and you can see in these graphs, is that about the same time that realists spike, upvotes absolutely plummet. So, what conclusions can we draw from this experiment? Well, being an experiment in what you might call gullibility, I think considering that we spent 24 hours with this image in the public circles that it was in, being exposed to the amount of people that it was exposed to, and how attention declined so sharply once the truth got out there, and not to extend this statement too far, but also considering the swiftness with which the truth got out there, I think we have to assume that people, in general, as an accumulative property of people, are a bit less gullible than one might imagine. And when they are gullible, they're gullible in slightly different ways than we might imagine. It might even be that people are so skeptical that they'll make false claims about the hoax being a hoax, or about, I should say, the properties of the hoax that aren't even there. People are less willing to believe the fantastic than you might think at first. And word about something being fake spreads around pretty quickly, and can get confirmed pretty quickly by a good basis in numbers of people. Again, I would like to thank those Reddit users for spreading the information because that's exactly what you should do under such conditions. Keep up that good work. People like you are needed desperately in this field. And if you want any proof that that kind of person does good for this field on a factual basis, this experiment certainly suggests it. That being said, until next time.